Welcome to the Extension Connection. This morning you have the Morton County Extension Service staff joining you. We have Liz Larson with us, Parent Resource Coordinator, Vanessa Hoynes, Family Consumer Sciences, myself, Carla Mickle, and we have a new person joining us. We're super excited. Yay! Marissa Lyer, our new Extension Ag and Natural Resource Agent. Good morning. Welcome to the big show.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Marissa joins us. She was formerly an agent in training up in Oliver County, and we're just going to kind of throw it over to her, and she can tell us a little bit about herself and where she went to college and what her degree is in and all that fun stuff. So
Thanks,
we'll ask
Carla.
her lots of questions too.
So I've been involved in ag my whole life, so it's awesome to be here in Morton County serving. I grew up on a dairy and grain farm in Emmons County near Strasburg, and I went to school at NDSU, have my bachelor's degree in animal science. I graduated in May 2016 from there, and my younger years I was a member of 4-H for a long time in Emmons County, and I loved to show cattle and be involved in communication arts and all kinds of stuff, so I'm glad to be here with Extension.
Great. And you showed dairy when you were in 4-H?
That's right.
Yep. Okay. Dairy judging?
I dairy judged in high school. We went to Madison for nationals, and I also dairy judged in college.
Okay. Good deal.
Awesome. And I think I heard that she was the Dairy Queen.
I was.
Dairy Princess, that's right.
Princess.
I was the North Dakota State Dairy Princess from June 2012 to 2013, so that was an awesome time.
So we have royalty in
There we
studio
go.
today, everyone.
Yay! So, well, welcome. We're excited to have you. I know you've got lots of stuff going on. Today you are visiting with the Ag Chamber.
That's right.
Yep. And I'm spending some time with Bruce Schmidt from Burleigh County and the folks up at KFYR. And tomorrow, big day, range judging, because you still have some responsibilities back in Oliver County, right?
Right. I helped a little bit coach the judging team up there. Since I just started on Monday, I was coaching up until last Friday. And so we'll be competing there, and I'll also be getting ready for just the experience of it so that hopefully we can have a team next year.
Good deal. So, well, that's exciting because I know when we were visiting during your interview process that there was some interest from some of the producers in the county that they thought we should have range judging. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's a really good skill to learn, and it's important to know. So I'm excited for that.
Yep. So that'll be tomorrow down at the research station.
That's right, at the ARS Research Station.
So you have some opportunities to meet quite a few folks and some youth within the county.
Yeah.
So that's good. So
if you're out there and you run into Marissa, introduce yourself.
Absolutely.
And she's got a lot of people to meet, and it'll be good.
Yep. So what else can we ask her? We should have had like 20 or 30 questions.
I know. Interview questions.
But Marissa will be joining us on the radio here during the Morton County time of the Extension Connection. I know she's got a lot of great information to share with us, and we'll be asking her questions. And, again, if you are close to the courthouse, want to stop in and say hello, please introduce yourself. She's got a lot of folks to meet. I know she's up at the FSA office this morning and visited with some folks up there. And please stop in.
And don't be afraid to stop by the Extension office or give us a call
Yep.
and come in and introduce yourself, or go ahead and call our number at 667-3340 and see if you can catch her in the office and visit with her a little bit that way too.
Yep. So, otherwise, we can move on to what's on the agenda this morning, ladies? What are we talking about?
Well, I'm going to cover, update a little bit on classes I have coming up this fall. We have a series starting next week. And then also I'm going to share some about from one of the classes that we teach is called 1, 2, 3 Magic, and talk some about building your child's self-esteem. So as the school year gets started, kids are going to encounter lots of new challenges. So how can parents and other adults in their lives kind of build self-esteem besides 4-H, of course, but other ways at home. So that's what I'm going to cover.
Thanks for the plug.
Yes, exactly. Always.
Yep.
There's still time to join 4-H.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lots of time.
How
Go
about
ahead.
you, Vanessa? What are you covering?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about, I have a program coming up one in October and one in November that I still have some spots open, and it's a stepping on class. It's false prevention, so we'll talk a little bit about that, the particulars and how to get involved. And then, of course, the news has been riddled, besides hurricanes, it's been riddled with the Equifax hack. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what are some steps as consumers that we may want to take in order to protect our credit and to protect us from identity theft. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to go into something happier. We're going to talk a little bit about soup. Now that it's kind of getting to be those soup days, we're going to talk about how to make homemade soup. What are some benefits? Why we should be even looking at that, and hopefully some ways we can even use some of the great vegetables we have in the garden, or use up things you have in your pantry already.
I'm excited because yesterday I attended a training for National Youth Science Day. So I have some information on the brand new science experiment for National Youth Science Day. It'd be pretty exciting. It hooks up to the wireless and gives you all kinds of information.
Whoa.
So that was very cool.
High tech.
I know. And it's called Incredible Wearables. So we'll talk about that. And then I've got a few 4-H events coming up. And I just thought I'd touch a little bit more on range judging. We could visit with Marissa a little bit more about what range judging really consists of.
That will be helpful for me because I have no idea.
Really?
I know enough to be dangerous.
Do you? So how about we start with that since Marissa has to leave us early. Yeah. So, of course, the North Dakota Range Judging Contest is tomorrow. And the little bit about that I know about it, yes, enough to be dangerous, I guess. That's why we've never had a team in Morton County, is because Carla is just not as versed with that. But
Not
never. Just in my extension lifetime. There you go. Okay. So it's really reading the range, proper management decisions of the range. When we're talking about range, we're talking a lot about pasture land, right?
That's right.
Okay. Okay. So it's develop management practices to improve the ecosystem and develop better understanding of plant communities on our ranges, of course, because there are plants that are out in pastures that aren't so good for our cattle and plants that are really good for our cattle. Am I right?
That's right.
I'm doing okay?
All right. I feel like you're on a test.
I know. I'm like, okay.
Why don't you just have Marissa tell us?
There you go. I could do that. So the contest tomorrow, Marissa, are you familiar with the contest?
I'm not as familiar with the contest.
Okay. So it looks like here that there's going to be 25 minutes at 5 different locations, and there'll be different things that the youth get to score. And so they'll look at locations for beef cattle and sharp-tailed grouse to facilitate learning in integrated management approaches. They're going to evaluate the land resource area and provide proper similarity index guides to contestants that they'll be able to look at the different indexes, distance given to water. They'll have site keys and different things. They'll do a little bit of soil judging as part of the range management. Okay, I'm really sounding like I'm puzzled here. I'm getting reinsurance though, see. They're going to have some different sites to practice at, of course, and then the kids will get an opportunity to be able to go through and then make good decisions about if it's proper range for livestock and wildlife habitat to be on, or if it has some adjustments that can be made. So that contest is tomorrow. We're excited to host that here in Mandan. And again, if you have an opportunity, you should head on out to the research station. You can meet Marissa. And with that, we're being cued for a break, and we'll be back shortly with the Extension Connection.
Right now, 54.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
And welcome back to the Extension Connection. Again, the Morton County Extension staff here with you today, fully staffed once again. We're super excited.
The streamers are flying.
I know, right?
The balloons are bursting.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll have cake later. Let's see. Gotta always have cake when you're celebrating. But anyways, we talked a little during the break, and we actually all found out we knew a little bit more about range judging than we thought we did. But just the contest setup and what it includes is there's 6 different sites, and at location 1, you determine ecological site, similarity index for the site, if it's resource value for beef cattle, what the resource value for sharp-tailed grouse is, and then you determine range improvement practice for beef cattle and for sharp-tailed grouse. And actually, location 1, 2, and 3 are all very similar. They have the same features that you look for. And then you get to location 4, and you identify plants, and you give characteristics of the plants, and the same for location 5. And then location 6 is you evaluate situation map for management issues and determine range improvement practices for beef cattle. They mark all the sites with flags, and it's a 50 by 50 foot area. It can be a little bit larger than that, but it has to have at least 15 plants per plant identification site, and that's on the situation map. So there is also a team, what did you call it? A team situational problem?
the situation map
Map.
is a team problem.
Okay, situation map is a team problem. So that's all part of the contest. So it sounds like a really full day.
Well, and
Yes?
these kids have to know a lot. I mean, to be able to know, like you were saying, Marissa, characteristics of the plants. You know, is it cold weather, warm weather, or, you know, what they look like at different stages. These kids are bookworms out there learning
a lot
their
of studying
stuff.
going into this. So
It's awesome.
yeah. So, but again, the state range judging contest, and is there a national trip on the line for this? Yes,
There is. You get
Yeah.
to go to Oklahoma if you
Okay.
win the state contest.
Okay, and Rick has actually gone to those contests before. Did you
Right.
go last year?
No, I did
No.
not.
Okay, gotcha. So range judging again tomorrow at the research station here down on Highway 6.
So, yeah, maybe you guys, if anyone knows someone that there's a kid out there maybe interested,
Should go
sounds
check
like
it
a
out.
team is in the works for
does.
Morton County.
Absolutely.
We got an expert on hand, and we're
Yep.
ready to go.
There we go. Yep. So, okay. So the other thing that I had here to visit about is National Youth Science Day, and what National Youth Science Day is it aims to bring youth together from around the world, an exciting interactive learning experience that engages them in science, technology, engineering, and math. And the event brings together young people, volunteers, and educators from the nation's 110 land-grant colleges and universities, which is NDSU here in North Dakota, to simultaneously complete the National Youth Science Challenge. And this year's challenge is called Incredible Wearables, and it's really interesting. We worked on it yesterday. There is actually a microprocessor and a tilt sensor that's involved in a power supply. We're using jumper wires, alligator clips, and a pulse oximeter. And the pulse oximeter, actually, the kids are supposed to test their resting heart rate, and then they walk in place for a few steps, and then they'll test their heart rate again, and then they can either jog in place or jog back and forth in their classroom, and then test their heart rate again. And so they get to design almost like a Fitbit is what it is. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it actually sends messages back and forth to a computer or to a cell phone. And you can pull it up and it'll provide all the information of what your heart rate was. And you can plug in information. And it's really cool. I don't know. We had a good time yesterday. Bunch of adults doing science
So
stuff.
are you wearing yours?
I'm not. I got my regular Fitbit on.
Yeah, your regular
Well,
Fitbit.
come on.
Well, the other one is pretty small, and you actually have to they had a piece of felt there, and we could attach it to the felt, and then we could put it on our finger, and that's was our mock Fitbit or whatever you want to call it, our tester. And so you use a lot of designing, your engineering designing process. The technology use for the product is pretty neat. Then you're also learning about health, which is really interesting as well. And so you can track and you can use improved technology to, of course, track your health. You want to understand the vast potential of wearable technology by learning how physiology and technology can work together. And so there's a lot of different things, but super interesting. There's actually group sizes 3 to 6, and then group size 7 to 10. And I'll be out and about here in October. I won't be able to do this actually on National Youth Science Day, but I'll be out and about in October and trying to do this at some schools and 4-H clubs and different groups so they can see all about National Youth Science Day. There's quite a few sponsors for this too.
What age group is the recommended age?
It's actually geared toward the youngest they're recommending is 3rd grade. So anywhere from 3rd grade and on up. Even high school kids, they said, would find it pretty interesting just how things are measured and accounted for through the process. And so, because technology, it's always interesting for anybody. Mm-hmm. And so, they said 3rd grade and on up is what they recommend.
Yeah, and so if you're working with a 4-H club or even a classroom or another group of youth that would be interested, that'd be great to give you a call.
Yep, exactly. So, and what I thought was pretty neat too is they did a recap of all of the 10 years that National Youth Science Day has actually affected our STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we've done a variety of them. This year, of course, incredible wearables. Last year, we learned about drones. The year before was motion commotion, so we talked about distracted driving. 2014, one of my favorites was rockets to the rescue. And then 2013, One of my not so favorites was maps and apps. A little more difficult to explain, and not near as interactive as like the rockets to the rescue and the drones. 2012, we did the EcoBot challenge, which was really fun as well. 2011, we did Wired for Wind, where we actually put together wind turbines, so that was fun. And then 2010 was 4H2O, it was all about water. And then a little bit before my time with Extension, 2009 was Biofuel Blast, which I heard wonderful things about.
Oh, that was fun too.
Was it? Yeah. And then 2008 was Helpful Hydrogels. So,
And I think all those things be things that we could re-look at those lessons. So if any of those would be of interest for you to share with the group, we can help you out.
So as a matter of
they're
fact,
all so spot on for what kids are seeing and interacting with in their day-to-day lives right now.
Yep, exactly. So, and anytime that we can emphasize STEM projects at all, it's a wonderful thing. So, I've just a couple other things, and I'll pass it on to Vanessa and Liz. Is that we've been doing Intro to Archery. Next week is Monday is our last Intro to Archery here in Mandan, up at the Travis Hilfer Memorial Archery Complex. We start at 6:30. We wrap up at 7:30. It's a fun time. We supply everything, and the cost is $5. And next week, if you join us, you'll get a T-shirt. So something.
So
fun.
if I'm still interested in archery, but I haven't picked up and come for these intros, can I still get involved?
Absolutely. You want to contact?
Question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to contact the office so that we can get you enrolled in 4-H before November 1st and before those program fees are implemented. And we start workouts for archery, I believe it's January 8th. It's on a Monday night, and we will start those at Nishu Bowman down in Bismarck. They've been so gracious to us and helpful and supportive of the 4-H program that we work out down there. And so that is the beginning of January, when everything else starts, like livestock judging and hippology and everything. So, but yep, absolutely, there's more time to join that program. So National 4-H Week is October 1st to the 7th, and mark your calendars, because October 5th, we are going to encourage businesses and youth in schools to wear green in support of 4-H. Or if you have a 4-H t-shirt or something fun, we're going to encourage that as like 4-H day in the county.
And I suppose it'd be okay if I wore bison stuff too.
Yeah, you could do that. We'll let you get by with that.
Green and gold.
Green and gold, green and white.
gold.
We're good. And so that is National 4-H Week and 4-H Day for us. And then 4-H Recognition Night is going to be October 6th, and that's going to be at the Mandan Eagles for all 4-Hers from last year and their families and our sponsors. So we're pretty excited about that. And then we're going to have some Crafting with Carla, or I'll call them Pinterest Days, coming up October 19th and 20th. So some fun stuff. And I'm trying to get a date for a spectacular science party. We tried it last year, and I don't think I necessarily marketed it the right way. So I got some ideas this year to try to get it out to a few more folks, so we could do a spectacular science party. So that's pretty much it about 4-H going on. All
So
kinds
what
of happenings
with those days you're planning during the teacher convention? What are some of the life skills the kids are going to be learning? They
are going to be learning patience.
Yeah.
Carla's going to be learning patience. No, we all learn that. They're also going to learn some self-esteem, because they're going to be able to put some things together and feel good about the things that they've done, so that, build those self-esteem skills. Communication, because working with an adult or others in the room, the communication skills. There's a couple times that we'll use some team building skills, which I think are another super important thing.
Probably following directions.
Yes. Yep. So our communication, our listening skills, absolutely. So, parents, if you want your kids to improve their listening skills, send them to some Crafting with Carla days here coming up during teacher convention, and I'll get some more information out about that here early next week. So
That sounds fun.
yeah. So, but
It's
Jim,
busy fall.
it is. Fall is always fun for 4-H. We get excited. So, and of course, there's still time to join, and we have lots of openings this year in some of our 4-H clubs. We lost quite a few seniors, and so some folks have aged out, and there's lots of room with some 4-H clubs. And
There's room in my club.
yes,
I have room for some.
yep. I visited Vanessa's club on Sunday. We did archery. It was very fun.
We had our usual annual picnic, and we
Yep.
have a great year planned. So if
Yep.
anybody's interested, we have some spots.
Yep. So, but with that, Jim is queuing us for another break, and we'll be right back with the Extension Connection.
Right now, 54.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
and we're back with the Extension Connection. This is the Morton County office, and this is Vanessa Hoynes, the Family Consumer Science Agent. In our introductions, we talked about a little bit what we were going to visit about today, and the first thing I wanted to mention was that we do have stepping on workshops that are coming, and you may have heard me talk about them before, but these are really geared towards preventing falls. And September is actually National Falls Prevention Month, so this is a perfect time to talk about it. I do have a series that's starting in October, but that one is full plus, which is great. And now I'm beginning to advertise one that will start in November. And so if you are interested, here are some things that we're going to be talking about. 1 in 4 people over the age 65 or older has a fall each year. And I'm sure all of us can think of people who have fallen that you know of. And we really don't want that to happen. In fact, yesterday I was at a health fair at Golden Age and visiting with folks there and giving them the information. And, one gal was coming by and she said, well, you haven't had any troubles with falls, and it's, that's great. And we want to keep it that way, kind of thing. So some of the things that are a part of stepping on, it's really to help you avoid a dangerous and costly fall so you can keep doing the things that you love to do. It's to keep that independence. It's a 7-week course, and some of the things that you're going to learn is to identify and remove and avoid fall hazards both inside and outside your home. Sometimes a couple of the folks I visited with yesterday talked about rugs, those scatter rugs that everybody likes to decorate with, but are really a death trap for folks for any age.
Yeah, that's
because they can cause anybody to fall. Another thing that we talk about during the 7-week course is we talk about how vision, hearing, medications, and footwear really affect our risk of falling. And so we do some actual checks of what the kinds of shoes that we're using and whether we're setting ourselves up for safety or for a fall. We also have a pharmacist come and talk to us about medications and how that can affect and which medications we want to consider taking a different time of the day because of how it reacts with us. And then also, of course, vision. If your vision is being affected, what are some things to be aware of? And even colors or colors of flooring or colors that are affected based on the lighting that you have in your home or places that you're going. We also spend a lot of time on strength and balance exercises to help you build not only your confidence, but also just your ability to be able to move around and that confidence to be safe. And then just to also how to get back up on your feet if you do fall. So that we don't, because many times we can almost hurt ourselves worse by jumping up and hoping that nobody saw us.
Yes.
Guilty.
I was going to say, I've maybe done that.
I've never done that.
And then look around to see who saw you and look at what could have possibly tripped you up.
It hurts more who's watching than it actually does at the time.
Well, yeah. And so the November course is going to start on November 7th, and it's going to be offered every Tuesday from 1:30 to 3:30. And the class, we're going to hold it at Edgewood Vista here in Mandan. They're hosting us. They're great partner and sponsor with us, and so they're going to host the event. There will be no fee for this series, and that is because we are being we have funding through the Older Americans Act, and so because of that, we don't have to charge a fee. So please register early. As I mentioned before, the one in October is already full plus. So if you're interested,
people that are probably going to come onto that November list.
Yeah, I already have people that are registered. So if you're interested, please call us at 667-3340 and just ask for the Stepping On program, and they can register you right over the phone.
Well, and there's even lots of giveaways and stuff. Was this the class that you had some hand weights or something that you were?
Everybody gets ankle weights so they can use with their exercises. So yes, there's definitely great lots of resources, and then the weights also go along with that. But yeah, okay. So yes, give us a call if you have some questions about falls and how to prevent that. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, yes, we've been hearing in the news about the Equifax hack. And if you're kind of wondering, sitting back, wondering what does this mean for me, some of the things that we're hearing that we should do as consumers is that credit experts really recommend that we begin to freeze our credit to reduce the risk of becoming an identity theft victim. And this has to be done individually with each of the big 3 credit reporting agencies, and that would be Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Plus, some experts also recommend doing a freeze with one of the lesser-known credit reporting agencies called Innovis to really cover all the bases. And so that, what that means then is making 4 separate contacts to freeze those requests per person. So if you're married, for a couple, it means 8. And so this does require some time. By freezing your credit, you prevent potential creditors from accessing your credit file, thereby preventing identity thieves from opening accounts in your name. However, credit freezes will not deter non-credit related frauds. So, for example, tax refund fraud, other identity theft type issues not related to credit, health insurance fraud, those kinds of things. As consumers, we still need to be vigilant. And we're still kind of waiting to see if there will be other fixes that they will recommend to help us in those various ways of connecting with our information. Credit freeze requests can be made online, by phone, or by certified U.S. mail. And so understanding, if you think about it, with the number of people who's, 143 million Americans, they estimate, had key pieces of their personal identification information stolen through this one hack. And so you can imagine everybody, not everybody, well, a lot of people of that 143 million are trying to do the very thing that you're thinking about doing. And so recognize up front that this is going to take some patience, as we were talking about before. It's going to take some, kind of stick-to-itiveness in order to get this done. So keep that in mind. Expect to devote a lot of time to this task, and I do have the contacts for online, the contact information for online for those 4 credit reporting agencies, a telephone number, and then I also have U.S. mail addresses for that, and we'll get that on our website so you can find that. Now, there is a cost for a security freeze, and it does vary from state to state. Here in North Dakota, the cost is $5 per freeze. So in order to do all 4 of them, it would be $20, or for the couple, it would be $40. And then when this freezes, basically what happens is that it does not allow somebody to open another credit account. And so what happens then if you want to apply for a loan of some kind, or if there's another reason for somebody to be looking at your credit, then you would need to put a thaw on that freeze, and that thaw also costs $5. So there is
and
some...
then does it cost another $5 to go from
to
the
put it
thaw
back
to the freeze?
Yeah.
Ooh, boy.
It's like putting a stop payment on a check.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things. So it really depends on what you're wanting to do, and how safe you want to how safe you want to feel.
And what you plan for in the next, if you're looking to purchase a home in the next couple months or something, then
right,
you don't want it frozen, obviously.
Right. Yeah. And now there are instances where for example, an employer, government entities, there are certain folks who, even with a freeze, would still be able to have access to your information. So if they were applying for a job and they wanted to look at that, they still would be able to do that. So that's helpful. So you wouldn't have to thaw it in all those cases. It would just be if you were applying for additional credit for some reason. And sometimes it's just a matter of to remember that. Yeah. Because you're in the throes of buying a new car, and then it's like, oh yeah, I have to do that again.
Thaw my account.
I have to thaw my account. If you are trying to do this through the mail, or actually any way, just to give you some information about what you need to have, you need to include your full name, your current address and former addresses within the last 5 years, your social security number, your full date of birth, your signature, and then photocopies of 2 forms of identification, such as a government-issued identity card like a driver's license kind of thing, and also proof of residence. For example, a phone bill, a utility company bill, something that has your address and your physical address so that they know that you are indeed someone.
So it's not something you have to do you have to do this through the mail.
No, you can do it on the phone,
Okay.
online, or through the mail. But that will be some of the information that you would need to have available to send or to have a part of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So again, we will get this on the website, so you have a way to find that, and we hopefully can
Maybe
answer
even
questions.
on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
a
link-
lot of information but we can have a link.
Have a link.
There
to
you go.
To the website. So
That would
you
be
can find
that
it.
would be great. Okay, now on a happier note, I said we were going to talk
I
a
know.
little bit about soup.
Love this time of year.
Usually you
soup.
make me hungry. Not.
I know.
I gotta
Not
get out
scared.
of here and go
Check
know.
my credit. Yeah.
credit.
So we have a
Gotta be
couple
real.
great publications about soup, and this is the great time of the year for soup. And I think about our series of publications called Pinch and Pennies in the Kitchen. One of them is called 7 Steps to Creating a Soup, and it walks through the different. You can kind of look at your pantry, and it walks through the main kinds of ingredients that you need to have in order to create your own soup. So, for example, you start out with a fat of some kind, whether you're going to use oil or butter, and you're going to heat that in a pot, and then probably the next step would be to use cut up an onion and saute that in whatever oil you have chosen. And then you choose a broth, and it could be anything from a canned broth, chicken, beef, or vegetable. You could use some type of a bouillon and mix that with water to create a broth. You can use diced or crushed tomatoes and some water to create more of a tomato-based broth if you'd like. And then if you'd like a creamy broth, usually about 4 cups of milk, again with adding some bouillon to that, maybe a chicken bouillon usually, to create a soup base with that. But if you're looking for some tips about creating soup, go to our website and we can hook you up with that. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the Extension Connection.
Right now, 59.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
And we're back with the Extension Connection. This is Vanessa Hoynes, Extension Agent in Morton County. And before the break, we were talking about creating a soup. And so we'd gone through the first few steps. We'd gotten through to the broth. And then from that point on, looking at one of our publications called 7 Steps to Creating a Soup, then the 4th step is to choose a protein. So whether you're wanting to use beef, chicken, ham, sausage, what any of those things.
Even beans, maybe.
Even beans could be your protein, you bet. And the nice thing about this is that it can be something that, maybe you had roast beef or you had ham for dinner, and now you have some leftovers. A great way to use those leftovers. Whether they've been frozen or they're ready to go, just as the leftovers from a few days ago. And then choosing a starch, and it could be anything from potatoes, noodles, macaroni, pasta, rice. It could be lentils. It could be split peas. Any of those things can be added. And I think a lot of times people think split pea, for example, can only be used in split pea soup.
Right.
So we think about a creamy soup, but actually split peas in like a beef broth or a vegetable broth is also very good, and they add a lot of color also.
Yeah, and they take on that flavor.
Yeah, you get a little bit of different flavor with that too. Whenever you're adding things like rice or split peas or lentils, remembering that you need to add some extra water to allow for them to double, and rice triples. Peas and lentils, triple or double, so keep that in mind also.
Even if you're not using the dried beans? Like if you're using canned
or
or
if you're using
like that,
canned beans,
then
but
you're fine.
lentils and those things usually come
Right.
dry. Yeah. But yeah, if you're using beans from a can, you don't need to worry about that part. Then the next 6th step is to add those chopped vegetables, and this can be fresh, frozen, canned. It can be things from your garden, obviously, that you want to stick in and create your own soup. And then step 7 is to choose some seasonings that you want to add. Again, this could be dried herbs from your garden. oregano, basil, cumin, chili powder, thyme, rosemary, parsley. A bay leaf sometimes can be a nice addition, just remembering to remove that before you serve. Garlic can be another great one, but whatever flavors you'd like to bring into that soup. And it can be any combination that you like, which is really great. And of course, soups always freeze well so that you can have it today, freeze it, and then bring it out a few weeks later, and it's another great meal again.
It's easy to make that big batch.
Yes, and then pairing it with a nice bread or some other crunchy vegetables, and what a great meal.
Yum.
Yeah, so now we got everybody hungry again.
Yeah, successful again.
week
Another
she does
week.
this
I know.
stuff.
And we've forgotten about all that credit stuff. So
Yeah,
now-
exactly. We'll also put that on the website, right? The recipes, so you can have some comfort food after you've frozen your credit.
So, Liz,
Yeah.
what do you have to share?
Well, I thought I would just remind people we have a couple of our fall classes starting up. So we're doing an active parenting now in 3, and they call it that because it used to be a longer series, but they pared it down to just 3 weeks, which is a lot of good information in just a 3-session series. But that'll be here in Mandan, and that's kind of if you have those kids that are between the ages of maybe 5 and 12. We'll talk about kind of building character and courage, also how to use effective discipline skills, how do we teach responsibility. So those kids are in that age where chores and taking care of things themselves should be coming into play. So that'll start on Monday, September 25th, and it's in the evenings from 6 to 7:30. And so if you want to register for that, you can give our office a call at 667-3342. And there's still a few spots left for that. I do have a couple childcare spots as well, so if you have younger kids or kids that are in that range that want to come hang out, and we have some great staff that hang out and play Uno and games and whatever while we learn a little bit.
Well, and it's a good night out, a chance to visit with other parents.
Exactly, yes. So it's nice to get that big group in there, and you can kind of connect with other parents. I think a lot of times they're hanging around chatting after class a little bit, and the kids are like, let's go home, right? So you can sign up for that active parenting, and then if you think that's kind of interesting, but you have older kids, we're actually doing an active parenting of teens coming up in November. So that'll start also Monday evenings, November 13th in Mandan. So a couple weeks there. We'll do 3 of them. So if you have questions, give our office a call. And so I thought I'd talk a little bit about building your child's self-esteem. So that's something that we cover in a lot of our parenting classes. A lot of times people think we just talk about discipline or how to do timeouts or any of that kind of stuff. But we want to really focus on the positive too, because if you have kids that are in a good relationship with their parents or the adults in their lives, if they have a good, healthy self-esteem, they're also going to accept and respond appropriately to all of our discipline.
Everything's connected.
It's all connected, yes. So we do a lot of those conversations in classes too. So we all know that kids need to get, they're going to grow up. They need to be able to get along with other people. They need to be able to find some satisfying work, whether it's at their home or outside the home. They're going to encounter moments where they have to put forth a lot of effort, maybe have some things that they're having to use self-control. All those kinds of things play into that self-esteem. So I brought along something from the 1, 2, 3 Magic parenting series. And it kind of just identifies 5 key building blocks to building that child's self-esteem. So the first one is really that parents need that clear philosophy or kind of a mission of what they're doing in parenting. So can't really fly by the seat of your pants. I mean, yes, the day-to-day stuff you're going to a little bit, but good parents really have that clear idea of their mission. They know how they're going to raise their kids, kind of the values they want to instill, that kind of thing. So with that, you need to have kind of those 2 components, one being warm and sensitive with your child's feelings, their needs, comforting when they're in times of crisis or pain. And that can be tricky because sometimes their moments of crisis might feel like an opportunity for discipline, but making sure we respond first with a little bit of that warm, sensitive response so that they because a lot of times kids are hard on themselves when they know they messed up first. So doing that.
Not the right time for saying, I told you so.
Exactly, yes. I told you so is not always positive.
Not probably ever positive.
Yeah, exactly. So you're on to be warm and sensitive, and then also what we call demanding. So that means, we have expectations of kids, that they're high expectations, but realistic, obviously. So kind of that warmth and demandingness. The second component would be discipline. So we know that kids need consistent discipline. They need limits and rules. We know that they'll grow up and have to live within regulations and rules. And even if you don't like them, you need to recognize them so you don't encounter some frustrations or bumps along the way as an adult. So you have to have those reasonable rules. And then when you're enforcing those rules, make sure you're saying, hey, I recognize that you can do better than this, kind of a thing. So with that comes the next component, which is positive and negative feedback. So we talk a lot about praise, so making sure you're praising early, often. We know that parents are really quiet when they're happy, and everything's going fine, so we don't address it. And then as soon as the kids maybe do something on the wrong side, we're right there to let them know they've messed up.
You stepped over the line.
Yeah, exactly. So keep that in mind, that you want to make sure you're praising often and praising 2 or 3 times as much as you're having to correct. Also, make sure you tailor your compliments or that praise to your child. So it's not just a general, hey, you're all awesome, all the kids, but really recognize who they are as an individual and praising that.
And even what about what they did is good or important.
Yep.
And I think sometimes too, even asking them, I recognize you did a great job. What do you think was really good about what you did?
Exactly. Yeah. So a couple other things are the active listening, and then also sharing in fun together. So we've talked a lot about the family table and making sure that's a positive experience for kids. But it's like any relationship. The more fun you have together, the more it'll just make those other hard moments a lot easier. So you want to make sure that whether it's sometimes planned or sometimes spontaneous, it doesn't have to be expensive or, lavish. It can just be some intentional time that you're having fun together and building that relationship, that interaction. So I can post that on our Facebook page for the Parent Resource Center. So you can see a little bit more of those tips of how to build the self-esteem. And we are wrapping up another week with Extension Connection, and Morton County will be back in 2 weeks. Thanks very much.